Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. As usual, we actually don't have security anymore. We have resolved everything with Soapy and Nick, so we're feeling more relaxed on the show. It's a good feeling to not worry about being attacked or whatnot. So, but anyways, my guest this week, making his first appearance on the show, Sean Gill. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you. We go way back to SNHU and. The strongest I ever was because you're coaching. So let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So originally from Ware, New Hampshire. So actually North Ware. So I literally grew up in nowhere, New Hampshire, which was pretty fitting. Small town, rural. And then after my freshman year of high school, we moved out to Manchester, New Hampshire. So I started my high school career, if you will, at John Stark.
Okay.
And then graduated from Memorial.
Nice, nice. What years were you at Memorial?
Oh, God. 2003 through 2006.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I was a senior when you were a freshman, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yep.
Awesome. Now, what are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
So I knew you'd ask this. I've seen your show. I don't know if they need to know about me, but 3 things that I would probably tell people. First and foremost, very proud father of my 2 boys. I think they're awesome, good kids, and a very proud husband to my wife, Melissa. I'm the new boys varsity lacrosse coach at Merrimack Valley High School for the boys lacrosse program over there, and a 4-time Tough Ruck finisher.
Nice. Now, how do we get you back? Are you going to come back, do you think, next year, or?
For a Tough Ruck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did it this past year. I think what threw us off was we did the virtual one, which I believe was in the fall.
Yeah.
And then they turned around and they brought us back to the course in April. So my wife and I, because we both do it, we're like, man, that's a lot of fundraising. And although we always hit our fundraising mark and we're not too concerned about it, but we just said, with that and some changes in schedules and stuff, we held off. So I'll be back next year, back on the course, getting after it again. We'll make it number 5.
It was fun. I will say this year, I just came off COVID.
Okay.
And honestly, it was the toughest Tough Ruck I ever did.
Really? All right.
And I cried at the end.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was like, I can't believe I actually did this.
Yeah. Knock it until they try it. You know, I always tell everybody it's. I don't know that it's the most physically challenging thing I've ever done, but mentally, once you get into it, once you're at mile 20, at mile 23, 25. It just hits you so strange and it's so difficult, but yeah, man. Well, you got after it though, and I assume you probably couldn't train too much if you were going through COVID.
I didn't really do much, which was the problem.
Yeah, I've done that myself. So.
I'd say the first year we did it together, and we were training hard.
Yeah,
you know.
Before coming on, I started thinking about it. I was like, when did I really meet Dan? When was the first time? And obviously, we had met prior to the Tough Ruck, but I think we did the first 15 or 18 miles of that ruck together and.
Telling each other our life stories.
Yeah, almost from, hey, what's up, man? My name's Sean, let's talk. But that was awesome. I mean, it helped with the time go by, and then, like you said, we were in good shape, so still tough, but we handled it pretty well, I thought.
It was a good day.
Yeah.
It was, that first year we didn't know what to expect, so honestly, because I don't know about you, I never did 26.2 in the training. Yeah. I did a little bit, but.
Yeah, I think 15 or 16 might have been the most I did, and then the end of that one I just remember, and I've kept this up through all the other rucks that we've done too, is towards the end when we're all kind of spread out and we're on our own, I just kept looking at the person in front of me, no matter how far it was, and was like, all right, I just want to try to either keep my pace or catch that person, and I ended up catching 4 or 5 people, and it just was enough to keep my mind off of how hard it was and how much I wanted to be done.
What was it like when the first one you ever did, though? Because then I know how I felt when you crossed that finish line. What was the feeling like?
It was pretty overwhelming, actually. More overwhelming than I thought. So for anybody who doesn't know, they probably do from your show, but it benefits Gold Star family members. So all of the people giving us our medals after the finish line were Gold Star family members. And I just remember it wasn't, thankfully, she didn't give me mine, but there was one little tiny girl there. She's probably, 4, 5, 6 years old. And just as I crossed the finish line, I saw her putting the medal around someone's neck, and I was like, man, that little girl has lost somebody, probably, a brother, sister, mother, father. And it was just like, man, this is so. It was hard, yeah, but not. The weight we carry for one day is much less than the weight that those folks carry. So
I 100% agree with that.
I thought it was just much more emotional than I thought it would be.
Yeah, there's just something about it. I never want to miss it.
No, yeah. I've missed two. I missed the one most recently, and then when I was away for training. But
that's right.
I don't want to miss another one.
We'll have to all get on one team again. Josh Brian, you remember him? He's been on the show, and we have a team now. And
maybe me and Melissa will join you guys because we still want to do it, and we did it. I didn't like the virtual. I didn't prepare well. I bought sneakers the day before.
Oh, yeah.
The worst decision ever. And she crushed it. She was like literally waiting for me to catch up. So
I will admit, the virtual was not the same. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have the crowds, and you're just doing it with, I did with the group I always do, but like, it just wasn't it. And then the actual app. I'm pretty sure in 2021 I did like 31 miles.
Yeah, I think actually I think we were texting at one point throughout because
I was like flipping out. I'm like texting Sean, what happened with you today?
Yeah. And we kind of felt the same. I don't know that we would have hit 30, but it was so like by the end. And usually I'm my last 2 miles I'm very ready to be done, but I kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm ready to go. I see the finish line. And I was just so miserable. Like, somebody stopped and like cheered me on. It was like one of my athletes' dads, and I still don't think I ever told them this, but I was just like, yeah. Like, didn't realize it was him. I was just like, leave me alone. Let me finish this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully we got you guys back out there next year. I can't wait. Now, sticking with the theme of the show, which is Let Freedom Ring, and we ask everybody this, and I think it's a great question. Some people don't like it, but a lot of people love it. What does it mean to you to be an American?
Yeah. So again, I knew you were gonna ask this one. I think, simply put, is freedom. I mean, I think that's something that we are born into when we're born here, and obviously there's people that move here and whatnot, but it's not something that everybody gets. Not everybody has the ability to pursue the schooling that they want to pursue or pursue the career that they want. And I think that just the freedom to do those things is really unique in a lot of ways, and I think often maybe overlooked in our country for people who grew up with it. So, but I think having freedom of education, careers, religion, all of those things are super important. And I don't know. I think that's just awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
No, good answer. It means so many different things, so many different people. Honestly, like we've had like so many different answers on that question.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into stuff about you because you're into a lot of things. Like I said before, like the strongest I ever got was talking with you and doing a lot of things that you taught me. Then I tore my rotator cuff. We got to get back into that.
We got this. We can talk. We'll talk off air.
We'll talk off air. But how'd you get so passionate about fitness?
I think it was kind of a accumulation of my whole life. So I started playing sports when I was 4 years old. My mom put me in ice hockey and t-ball and basketball, and both my parents would always be at every game, and friends and family. So it was just like this. I grew up in this athletic world, but I was never that great. Like I didn't realize it at the time, but I was kind of the perpetual role player, and which I was okay with. I think I just loved playing, that I was okay with it. But you kind of always have that, like, man, I wish I could be the guy. I wish I was scoring all the goals or doing more than what I was. So fast forward, I am too slow to make the varsity hockey team at Memorial. I played JV at John Stark. Too slow to make varsity at Memorial. Otherwise, my skill was pretty good. So lacrosse season rolls around, and I was a 4-year high school lacrosse player, starter, and but that was it. Like I wasn't recruited. I didn't really understand the recruitment process. I didn't put my name out there. I just genuinely was ignorant to it. I did not know how to get recruited. I kind of had this thought that like coaches just made their rounds, and if they were interested, they'd reach out to you. It was actually my last practice as a senior. We had a new coach that year, and he pulled me aside. Literally our last practice. I wish he had done it our first practice, but I guess he didn't know me that well. And he said, "Hey, where are you going to college?" And I said, "I'm going to go to Keene State." He's like, "You going to play lacrosse up there?" And I said, "I thought about it, but no coaches reached out to me or anything." And he was like, "I think you should." He said, "I know the coach up there. I'll make a phone call, but I think that you have a chance to earn a spot, and I think you should do it. Now, ultimately, I didn't. You may find this hard to believe because you met me as a more of an older adult, but really up through my early 20s, I was pretty reserved. I was quiet. I was super self-conscious about everything. Like, not only the way I looked, I was overweight. I should have said that in the beginning. Overweight. I didn't like the way I sounded when I talked or how I looked. I was so self-conscious. So I get to college, and I still have this idea. Maybe I'll play. Maybe I'll try. So I go to the meetings, and I play one day, like one captain's practice, and it was not a great showing for me, so that didn't feed, or actually, rather, that fed more into these issues that I was having kind of in my own head. So I decided that I would just focus on my degree, and that was journalism. I was like, all right, I'll just focus on that and get good at that while I'm here. Well, a friend of mine, I met him. His name's Kyle. He's a really good strength and conditioning coach in Bedford, New Hampshire. I've known him since preschool, but I hadn't seen him from sophomore through senior year. Through a lot of different things that worked out, we ended up rooming together in college. And he walked in and he was just yoked. Like, I was like, what happened? Because he was always the guy, right? He's a really good basketball player. And just a really good athlete all around. He could play any sport. So he walks in and he's just like jacked. And I was like, what happened, man? Like, how'd you do that? So we started talking, and it got to like 3 weeks into school. And for those 3 weeks, everybody kept mentioning in the lead up to college, like, oh, you're going to gain the freshman 15.
Oh, yeah.
And I hated that. I'm also a really stubborn person. So I hated that. So I decided early on, I said, I'm going to lose 15 pounds my first year. Rather than gaining freshman 15, I'm going to lose freshman 15. But then I didn't do anything. My first 3 weeks, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm nervous. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I don't want to be sweaty in front of people. But what I noticed was Kyle, every single day, 4:30, he was going to the weight room, and then he's coming home and doing his homework. And he had this really impressive routine or regimen to his day. So about 3 weeks in, and we're sitting down. We end up on the same schedule because freshmen taking gen eds. And I think we were having lunch, and I don't know if you know that feeling like when you're a kid and you're about to ask somebody out and you're really nervous and you get like those kind of bubble guts. So I had that, and I finally just said, hey man, would you be cool if I followed you around the weight room? I said, you don't have to teach me anything. You don't have to coach me. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do in there.
Yeah.
But I think I'm supposed to be in there, I said, I don't like the way I look and feel, and I don't think I've ever been the athlete that I should have been. And I think that is one of the missing pieces. And immediately he was like, oh, hell yeah. He's like, let's just train together. I'll teach you what I know. I'm not a coach yet, but I'll teach you what I know. Well, my first semester, I lost 25 pounds and was feeling good, starting to feel good about myself and leaned out. And throughout that time, I realized that Kyle was in a program called Health Promotion and Fitness. Later, they changed it to Exercise Science. So that was like my introduction to that was just like this lifelong pursuit of sports where I was always kind of middle of the pack, missing a couple pieces. And then I get to college and I start learning from him how to train. And then I start realizing like, oh, I'm getting stronger. I can see myself getting faster. I have better endurance. And then, so I think that's where I could go on for days, but I think that's where like the passion really built when I realized how much that helps me. Now I wish I could say, and my confidence did grow a lot. Clearly I'm here on your show. Yeah. But I wish I could have said that in the moment I decided to try out for lacrosse, because I think that I might have been able to. At that point, I was pretty fit. We were Kyle and I were pretty aggressive in our pursuit of being really good strength coaches. And as freshmen, we got signed into a junior level class where we actually got to start training people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we just went into the head of the health department and we kind of pleaded our case, and we're just like, listen, we're learning stuff in class, or we learned stuff this semester in class. Next semester, why can't we start working? Like, that'll give us more experience, more time. And she agreed, signed us off on it. And so I think, I don't know, as far as I know, I think we were the first two freshmen to ever get into that class. But it just turned into like 3.5 years of us being able to train and start to see people have results. And I think the passion just always grows once you have a client. So even like you just said, oh, you helped me out. That's awesome, man. I didn't realize that was the best shape you had ever been, up to that point. So, I love hearing that, and I think it's awesome. And for me, having the background that I had, where I wasn't the guy and I wasn't super fit, to be able to help people get out of that realm just continues to compile and continues me on that path that I love.
No, that's awesome. And I gotta say, like, man, as we get older, we learn so much more. Yeah. It's like, man, I wish I had that knowledge in high school.
Yeah,
Like,
I think as kids we get really anxious and wound up on stuff, and then as we get older, not necessarily that anxiety goes away, but it changes, and you can filter it better, and you can understand like, oh, it's not that deep all the time. Sometimes we just need to settle down and recalibrate what our goals are, and baby steps. One thing each day can lead up to big things in the long run.
I agree. Now, how'd you end up? So you did that. So that's kind of, but then you become a personal trainer, performance coach.
Yeah.
How does that officially happen?
Yeah, so school, I realized through that class that I really enjoyed coaching people. About 2 weeks before I graduated, we had a presentation, and it was encouraged to bring our resumes, so I did, and I ended up getting selected for a job at a place in Massachusetts, so moved down there right after graduation, literally the same weekend, so I think it was a Friday we walked on graduation, and Monday morning with my pickup truck still loaded with all of my stuff, I was at day one of my new job.
Oh, wow.
And that was actually a really good experience for a number of reasons. One, first kind of adult job, but two, I learned pretty quickly that wasn't the area of fitness I wanted to work in. So I stayed there for a year. The clients I had there were awesome. It was nothing personal with anybody. It was just, I like the team environment. I like, if it's going to be one-on-one, I really enjoy training everybody, I guess. So that was less of it. I think it was just the location that I was at, and it just wasn't the right feel for me. So I decided to leave that job. I had a verbal agreement with a more local gym back up here in New Hampshire. I learned the hard way that those don't always pan out. So after 3 or 4 weeks of being jobless, I get a call from my sister who works at SNU. And she says, hey, we're hiring people. You talk a lot and you get a degree. Like maybe just come down and see if it works out. So that's how I wound up in advising at SNU. And then by the grace of God, or I don't know, I was able to put in a proposal, and get the gym started down there. And then from there, I continued to gain experience and train a wide variety of people there. I mean, we had everybody in that building from brand new, never played sports, never lifted weights, all the way through professional level and Olympic level athletes that I got to either see or work with on a regular basis. So that was awesome. And then my son started doing Muay Thai at a local gym out in Hooksett, and they were kind of shopping around for a trainer to come through, and I just threw my name in there and said, hey, I can help out. I do work full time, and he was all about it. He's an awesome guy. Team Link, Hooksett, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Ed Carr is the owner. He's a great guy, and awesome gym. So I get the spotlight there a little bit. Still less so now because of life things, but it was just this cool process of building off of what we got started in college, and again, just the sum of a bunch of things that took place over the years from college until today.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you, in just bringing up SNHU, you had such a vision for Succeed. Like, that was, everybody loved it.
Yeah.
And there was, like, in the heyday before the pandemic and everything, I mean,
yeah.
we even had a board with all the records and everything. It was cool, but that was, like, your vision.
Yeah. So I shout out to Shannon Morrissey. She's married now, so I can't pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
But Shannon was also a huge help with that. She had a psychology background, so when I pitched it, she was able to kind of come in and say, hey, by the way, people who work out in the workplace tend to be more productive and tend to, so we were able to present a bunch of science along with, hey, I think this would be really cool. And then in terms of building the gym out, it was over all those years of working at gyms and all the way back to, marketing 101, whatever I took at Keene. I actually built the gym in that class. And obviously Succeed had kind of progressed in my mind over the years, but I just knew that I didn't want it to be a little corner gym that had a couple mats and a couple medicine balls. I wanted it to be like a facility, a training facility. And thankfully, the leadership that was in place and the people that Shannon and I got connected with loved it and believed in it. And I think one of the first things that they told us was, like, you guys are clearly passionate about this, and who would we be not to put you in this batter's box and see if it works? So it did. 7 years I got to do that, and that's, by the time I was 30, I had 5 years of doing a job that I loved every day. And some people don't get that in their whole lifetime. So To be really appreciative of that would be an understatement.
Yeah, no, those were awesome. The gym is awesome.
Yeah,
and it
nice.
still is. So,
Appreciate that.
what's the most challenging part of that?
Of like training, like being a
Training
coach?
people, yeah.
So there's a few ways that we could look at it. So training people specifically is not really knowing their background, not knowing what they can or can't do with their own body. So I would say like overall, like dancers and gymnasts, I could give them one verbal cue, and this is like across the board every year I've ever trained. It doesn't matter if they were 10 years old or if they were 60 years old. If they were ever a dancer or a gymnast, they understand their body and they can move, and it's awesome. But then you get some people that are still really good athletes or very successful athletes, but moving their body in the weight room is so different than moving it in the gym that it's this puzzle with every person. You know, I might be able to tell you, hey, this is how we're going to do a deadlift, and you get it no matter what. And then I could take this person over here, tell them the same exact thing that I just told you, and they're like, I don't get it. You know, I can't move my body that way. So I think that's a big challenge. I think also probably the biggest challenge is what I call the battle between the ears. So I'm constantly saying this to my own children. They'll tell you they're sick of hearing it. But also like my athletes, my lacrosse people, my lacrosse players, and then my clients. It's that moment when we want to give up. And you know this with the Tough Ruck. That little voice always creeps in. Just stop. You don't have to do it. Why do you have to do this? You don't have to do this, you know? And I think that's probably the biggest, because not only do I have that, right, as a person, as a coach, in every facet of our life, we all have this little voice that will tell us to take the easiest route. That's the human nature. We don't want it to be hard. Take it easy. You know, go this way. It's a little easier. The path is more defined. When in reality, if you go the harder route, you're gonna. So David Goggins is a guy I like. He's a former Navy SEAL, and something he always says is to callous your mind. And I love that. So I think winning the battle between your ears helps you to callous your mind. And it might be really hard today, but the next time you do it, it's going to be a little easier. You have more of an understanding of what's going to happen, so you can set your expectations more realistically, and then you can slowly grow from there. So I think just the puzzle piece that is every person that I train, and then on top of that, both myself as a coach and my client winning the battle between our ears and kind of meeting each other halfway is always a challenge, because you never know, you know. Again, your goals and mine are probably different in the weight room, so finding that proper balance and then being able to move forward cohesively is a challenge.
I could say this, like when I was deadlifting, you're like, man, those are like you're meant for that. My squats, no.
Yeah,
they were ugly.
I'm the same. I'm built to deadlift. I'm not built to squat.
I hate squats.
Yeah, me too. I could bodyweight squat. I hate it.
What's the most rewarding part?
Just seeing clients succeed, seeing athletes succeed, I think would be just the number one thing. I have this thing. I'll shout out to Lori. So she's one of my clients that I got to meet over at Team Link, and I now call it the Lori effect. So when I met her, usually my first like meeting with somebody is a 30-minute interview, more or less, and let me get to know you. What are your goals? Here's who I am, my background. You know, we'll do a quick little something, and then we'll start next week for real. Well, our initial conversation was an hour and a half long, and she told me everything. She broke down her whole life for me, and it was awesome because I need to know those things. I need to understand where she came from, and you know, everything down to where she grew up to where she is now and what she wants to do in the future. So the Lori effect was during that initial conversation. She was coming to that gym, I think anywhere between like 3 and 6 days per week for 1 to 3 hours per day. But she wasn't working out all that often. She was a little bit, but not all that often. And she wasn't taking any classes. And I said, Lori, you know, you're here so frequently. Why not take a cardio kickboxing class, or why not take a jiu-jitsu class? And she shut it down. She said, no, I can't do that. I can't, you know, the same thing like I was saying about me. I can't sweat in front of people. I can't do that. It's uncomfortable for me.
It's like mirroring like images of like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
It's like I was there before.
Yeah. You know, and I also let her know about my background, and so the Lori effect though is fast forward about a year, maybe a year and a couple months from there, she was taking jiu-jitsu 4 to 5 times per week. She had earned a stripe. She's working out again on top of her jiu-jitsu classes. She's lifting weights and doing all these things that she previously had told herself she couldn't or she shouldn't do. So I think that I just love what she did, and I think that that's so rewarding. And I have 100 of those very similar stories, but she was just so unique in that she was so like, no, I can't do these things. Not that she wouldn't, not that she couldn't. She could not get herself to go and do those things. And then a year later, and I tell everybody, as a coach, and I don't care if it's in the gym or on the field or anywhere else, you could have the best coach in the world, and they could be doing absolutely everything in their power to help you as the athlete. That's still only 50% of the equation. The athlete has to meet. You have to be willing to listen, and you have to be able to be willing to ask questions and show up. And she just did all the right things, and so I think that whole example just feeds into what I love about training and what I love about coaching, even on lacrosse field, seeing kids come in who are second guessing themselves or new to the sport, and they just take the coaching and they're willing to try and fail. Probably more so willing to fail than try, right? Because stuff is hard when you first start, and I think multiple times failing at it is when we kind of go, I don't think I'm never good at this. It's like, well, you've only done it for like a month, like a month is a very short time in our lifespan. So I think that's my favorite thing about coaching overall, is just seeing somebody go from kind of a vulnerable state to just seeing what they can do and challenging themselves and continuing to progress.
And I think that's why you're so good at it too. Is like you have the perfect personality for it.
Thanks.
I think you're very good with people,
Appreciate
and
Yeah.
it can be very hard to get them to buy in. But I think you do a good job with that.
Yeah, buy-in's a great word.
Yeah.
Great phrase.
Now I got to ask this because you kind of you started getting in the Air Force, but it was a little later in life.
Yeah.
How did you decide to do that?
I waited. So my brother joined the Army a little late, not as late as I joined the Air Force, but I think he was 22 or 24. So I got to go out. Me and my family went out and saw him graduate from his basic training, and literally sitting in the bleachers watching them come out. And you kind of do like a demonstration for the family, and I just remember thinking like, why don't I do this? Like this is just like the ultimate team sport, And that was I was a freshman in college, so 07-ish. And so freshman in college, I was probably 18, 19 years old, and I didn't join the Air Force until I was 30. And it was just life kept happening. I didn't want to leave college. I wasn't convinced that I would come back. I know me, and I know how I get. My wife will definitely attest to this. I definitely get fixated on things, and I want to see them through and do them to the best of my ability. And I was really worried that if I left school, I might not come back. And I wanted to get that 4-year degree. That was a goal of mine since I was a little kid. So that's kind of where it started. And then finished my degree. 2 weeks before I graduate, I get a job offer. It's like, oh, okay, well, I should take that job. That'd be kind of silly not to. And just life just kept snowballing. And then fast forward, I'm 30 years old. I'm married. I have 2 children, youngest being a 2-year-old. The older was 9. And my wife just said, hey, if you're still talking about this, so if you're really wanting to do it, now would be the time. Let's go while Connor, our older son, is old enough to understand that you're not going to be here for a little bit, but you're coming back. And Oliver doesn't really understand why you'll be gone, and someday you'll be back, and he's going to be happy, and he'll never remember me being gone. So, 30 years old, signed the paperwork, and shipped off to San Antonio, Texas.
How long ago was that now? Time is flying.
Yeah, just over 4 years. Actually,
Okay.
June was my 4-year mark. So, yeah, it's been kind of crazy that it's gone so fast.
Yeah, no. Well, I applaud you for that, because I remember talking to you saying like that was something you really wanted to do, and then I give you credit for pulling the trigger and doing it.
Thanks.
We do have some fan questions here. First one, kind of a recent guest, Gina Crivati, and I hope I said it because I said it right on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it.
Yeah, I hope I said it right again, Gina, if you're watching. She's curious about his perspective on the hardest part of being a coach, either a team or a one-on-one.
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this. But again, I think it's just finding the balance between coach and player. One-on-one session, it's typically one coach, one player, right? One coach, one athlete. The team setting can definitely be challenging because now you get a number of coaches, you're getting a number of players. For me, I coach at the high school level now. Previous to that was all youth up to 8th grade. And just differing in personalities. You got kids are reaching that age where they're wanting to be independent and we all wanted to be that guy at a certain time in sports. So it's a difficult balance to figure out how to not only talk to the team, but also to the other coaches, also to the parents, because the parents are maybe one of the bigger factors in a team sport, especially at the youth high school level. Is I want them to understand where I'm coming from as a coach. I want them to understand where their player currently is. Saying it the way I just said it is really easy. Saying it to the parent who has questions about your ideologies or your what's the word I'm looking for here? Philosophies, I guess, in coaching can definitely be difficult. And you don't want to. I mean, I never want to offend a parent or a player, and I want every kid who wants to play and to have fun. Obviously, the high school level, it gets a little bit more competitive. So being, I think, a little bit more upfront and communicating well with all parties, setting ground rules, or not ground rules, but guidelines and expectations, I think is probably the most important thing. But I hope I answered the question in there. I think it's just the communication piece and really learning how do you speak to each individual athlete, how do you speak to the whole team at one time, how do you speak to your coaching staff, how do you speak to the parents, and then how is all of that come together into one big successful team for the year. So it's a lot of moving parts and making sure that you're saying what you need to say, but also saying it the right way.
No, I agree, and that can be hard. And I think a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
you know.
Trial and error, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. God, if you took me back 8 years when I started coaching, I'm sure I was, even just for little kids, I'm sure I wasn't doing a lot of things the right way or the most effective way. So trial and error and just winning that battle between your ears, right?
When I first started, I coached middle school wrestling for a while. And when I first came in, I thought I had to be this hard ass because that's how we were coached.
Yeah.
And what I learned was I don't know if this works. Yeah. I don't know if I'm really getting through to them. And then I had to tone it down to you can be tough, but you got to understand them.
Yeah.
And just being tough is never gonna. You got to do all the aspects of it, like you said.
I can't remember the exact verbiage, but a parent. So 7th and 8th grade, not last season, the season before was my last season coaching until I landed the high school job, and I got an email. Me and the other coaches got an email from one of the parents, and I can't remember the exact words, but I think she said something that you guys are tough but understanding, something like that. And it was the biggest compliment I could have ever been given because that's what I want. I want my athletes to know I'm there for them on the field, off the field, that I love them, that I want them to do well. I'll help them with whatever I can to the best of my ability, and when I can't do it anymore, I'll make sure that I find the resources for them. But equally, while we're on the field, we have a goal of winning. We have a goal of being a successful program, and that's going to take teamwork and it's going to take honesty. And I don't want them to stay mad at me. They'll probably be mad. One of my coined phrases, my team will hate that I said this here, and they hate that I say it to them. But I always tell them I'm not going to always tell you what you want to hear. I will tell you what you need to hear. And then usually I tell them what they need to hear, and they have a moment, and then we fix it and move forward. But it's a coaching youth and high school sports is a very unique world.
I could see that. And, you're building character in them, too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times I do believe when people say sports builds character, I believe it.
Yeah,
and as you get older, I do believe sports reveal character.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Did you actually learn anything from that high school coach as you get older,
And I think the other thing that's really important to what you're just saying, too, is I don't think we all always had the best coaches. I'm sure you probably have a number of coaches you can be like, I could have done without that season. But in reality, you still learned something that season. Whether you learned how not to do something, whether you learned how you didn't like to be coached. So I'm definitely the eternal optimist. There's always a positive spin, always. But I think that being able to sit back and reflect, even in the moment, is ideal. But even after the season or maybe years down the road, you look back and go, that coach who got in my face and screamed at us like we were, in the military or doing something that we deserved to be screamed at, he was wrong, or she was wrong. That was not how that should have gone. It made us not like the sport so much. And I definitely don't want to be that coach ever. I want to hold them accountable, and I want to be firm when I need to be firm. But I also want to be able to walk away from a tough loss and talk to them as people and let them know, hey, we're in this together. I like to win as much as anybody else, but I also love learning. You know, it's
Yeah.
either wins or learning. It's never wins and losses.
I 100% agree, and you always want to win the right way too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
From Mike Bollier, another guest, former guest, you know him well.
I know this guy.
What's your biggest pet peeve in the gym? Mine is when people do curls in the squat rack, which I've never seen.
I think I'm on to what Mike's doing here. I had put signs up at Succeed that said no doing barbell curls in the squat rack. And this is a personal pet peeve that came from a number of years of going to the gym and somebody's in there just barbell curling when they could have used dumbbells or the preset curl bars, and there's only 2 squat racks in the building. So I think he might be in a...
Okay, because I maybe I do remember these signs.
Yeah.
I don't remember actually seeing anybody do it.
No. Actually, nobody ever didn't Succeed.
Okay.
Maybe it was the signs. I don't know. But
because like when you're doing like curls, you want to go like personally. You want to look in the mirror, like you know, like.
Yeah. So I think he's being funny, but that does drive me crazy, especially in a crowded gym. No, I think the mentality that some, and I would say, I say some like that intentionally. I don't believe it to be everybody. But some people think that because they're in better shape than other people, that the gym is more theirs than others.
Okay, I've seen that.
Yeah, and I don't like that at all. Like, don't do that. Like, I've heard people just throughout my life make comments about somebody who's on the road running or walking, and maybe they're not the most fit person, and it's like, why are you making it?
It's not a competition here.
Yeah, and they're also doing something about it. They're out there working hard and trying to get better, you know. And so I think overall, it's probably my biggest pet peeve is like, this is not just the place for you because you're super fit. Like, you had to start somewhere too, and you have no idea what that other person has gone through. You have no idea where they came from or what their goals are. Like, there's plenty of people that have a little more weight on them that intentionally stay that way. They're powerlifters or throwers or football players or lacrosse. You know, there's so many people that can be bigger looking and still super athletic, super healthy, and just doing the right things for themselves. But I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve is just this is my space. You don't deserve to be here.
Almost like entitlement.
Yeah. I hate that. Drives me bananas.
I used to hate people that would yell in the gym. Like, I understand, like, if you're doing a big deadlift, you make a grunt or you are doing a big thing. That happens.
It does.
I mean, watch a tennis match.
Yeah.
But like, it's the people that are like, "Ugh!" Like, it's like you're not the only one here.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Maybe you're getting like, if you hit a PR and you do that, okay, and then the whole gym might be behind you. But there's been I remember this guy at Plymouth State the whole time doing all this like yelling. I know we were like college kids at the time, but I was like, is he serious?
And then they do like one rep that's like, that's cool, like good job, you know, but why'd you walk up and down and grunt and slap yourself a bunch of times? I don't know.
Like, you know, it's like, I might be focusing and be like jumping out. I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally agree.
I do want to get in some top fives here with you. I think this is an interesting one. I've actually never asked this question before, so I'm curious to know what you'll say. Because when we did advertise the show, we said you're a big New England sports fan. Your top 5 New England Patriots of all time.
Oh, man. So, I'm a big New England Patriots fan, or New England sports fan.
Got to get you into the Free Jacks. New England Free Jacks.
Rugby? Is that
yes.
All right. I've seen you post about them.
One game away from the finals. Next year, I'm telling you, we're taking it, but neither here nor there.
So I'm not maybe the greatest historian of players. So I'll give you my.
Well, this is your list.
Yeah, I'll give you my favorite players that I just have enjoyed over the years for a number of reasons. So we'll say Teddy Bruschi. I just love the guy. I think he was a beast. I think he worked hard.
Survived a stroke.
Came back to play at the highest level.
Did a Boston Marathon.
That's yeah. What a savage. And he's also seemingly like a really nice dude. So I really like Teddy Bruschi. Vince Wilfork, just a humongous, perfect example of somebody who was just a monster of a human being. I walked by him at the airport one day, and I was like, look at this human, you know, and I knew who he was. I knew how explosive he was on the field, and that was probably a good experience for me too as a coach to walk by somebody and be like, wow, like that's a humongous man who is super athletic, wicked strong. So big with Vince Wilfork.
I remember the day I was actually, believe it or not, when he got drafted, it was on the radio. I was actually driving to Keene State.
Really?
To
Nice.
visit. The day he was drafted by the Patriots.
That's awesome.
That always sticks in my head, like Vince Wilfork. and what he became, you know.
I loved him. And then I also have the clip of him. I think he went to the Texans after the Pats, and he showed up in just overalls and big puddle boots, and so clearly some character there.
He was just having fun. Like, he reminds me of a lot of the Red Sox players we had. You know? Just having a good time.
I think he enjoyed it. I think he embraced that he got to play a kid's game for a profession and just loved it.
You know what? All these years, though, of everybody being like, Belichick's like this, you know, drill sergeant. We've had a lot of cast of characters come through the Patriots.
Yeah,
Will
for
Fork,
sure.
look at Gronk. Like, it wasn't all just like, there was some characters there.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to what we're saying, like being understanding but tough. Like, and I'm not on the inside, I don't know. And there's been a lot of reports of Coach Belichick, but I don't know, man. Something's working. You know, they've been very successful, and you could debate Brady and Belichick and who's more important. I personally think that they both were equally as important. I think that without them meeting 50-50 in the middle and doing what they needed to do, I don't know that they have all those wins. And I don't know that another quarterback would have come in and done what Brady did, and I don't know that another coach would have been willing to say or do whatever Coach Belichick did. So
I mean, Brady ran Arians out of town. But go ahead.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
Just love the guy. He's just a character. He's a hard worker. Just every time he was mic'd up on the sideline, he's having fun, but he was still like just this, let's go, let's get after it attitude, and I love that. So he's
guy had to work his way into the league too.
Yeah, exactly. Came in as a quarterback, and then they moved him around. So the work ethic that's there. Even in camp, I got to go down to camp. I think maybe 2 seasons before he retired, but. Yellow shirt, you know, he clearly had some systems in place, things that he needed to do to train and to do what he needed to do, and I just love that. I think any athlete, and I'm sure the league's probably full of them, but big Julian Edelman fan. And then Rob Gronkowski, same. Just I don't think that guy was ever on the field not having fun.
He pissed me off in the end.
That's fair.
I will admit.
That's fair.
When he retired, I was like, man. And then as soon as Brady went to the Bucs, he's like, yeah, I'm back in. I go. But then, like, the other part of me is like, during that run that they made, I was like, I'm pissed off. Like, because I was never pissed at Tom.
Yeah.
Like, it was never like, I was like, you know what, Tom Brady, he's been taking pay cuts all these years. He's done everything. He has the right to do that. Like, ordered that Bucs jersey. Was like, he's my favorite player. I'm going to have it. Yeah. And then when Gronk went, I was like, you sneaky bitch. Like, what, you know, like, I was like, you know, I don't know why Gronk I felt so differently, but I still love him.
Yeah, I think I definitely had a moment of that too. And I think it was just more like, I want him to be a Patriot. Like, I want him to come up here and do those things.
Maybe we beat the Titans if you were here last year.
Yeah, seriously. And then, obviously, the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. Just, I know a lot of people hate him, so kind of a funny story. In basic training, there's not a lot of excitement here. It's very much business while you're there. But we had a classroom session, and one of the instructors teaching us had a picture up of Tom Brady, and he said, but he wasn't in his uniform. He was just like street clothes. So I still recognized him, and he goes, "Who is this?" I put my hand up, and said, "That's my quarterback, sir." And he's like, "Get out of my classroom," you know, because everybody hates him. But I'd be willing to bet if he was on their team and got to have the history of their team similar to like what we got to grow up with, he'd be on the top of everybody's list because he's just such a competitor.
I hate to say it, like, you know, either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain.
Yeah.
Because honestly, Brady, even with the Patriots, at first the country loved him.
Yeah.
And I think they still do.
Yeah.
But there's so many people that hate him too. And then like we start getting torn when he goes to the Bucs.
Yeah.
Where that first retirement everybody's like, he didn't thank us enough. And I kind of was like, yeah, but he thanked us when he left.
Yeah. And
now he retired, even though he didn't really retire.
Yeah, right. Fake retirement.
Again, with Tom Brady, I go, is he really retired?
Yeah.
And I remember like thinking, like, I'm not going to believe this until the season starts.
Well, he kind of shot himself in the foot because he originally said, I'll play until I'm 45. And he was only like 43 or something at the time. So, yeah.
Well, I'm curious to what went through his mind at that point. Because first they reported it. And then he goes, I never say anything. And then he says, I'm retired.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, he's finally, like, he's out of the league. And then, like, it was like, what, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, do you think he hates his family? Or, like, you know?
I don't know, man. Especially now with the 11 days off. Like, there's all speculation about what's going on. I think that I don't know. I don't know him personally, obviously,
No.
but I think he's just a competitor, and I think when you know, sports are not a forever career. I mean, he's stretching it just about as far as any professional athlete will stretch their career, and I don't know. I can't imagine playing at the highest level and then thinking it's coming to an end. Like, what am I going to do next? Especially when you know you can play again.
It starts. I think honestly with Tom starts hitting that mortality thing where it's like, if I actually do retire, I will never do this ever again.
Yeah.
Because you never will. It gets into this whole thing, and like, I never thought of athletes going this long.
Yeah.
You know, professional wrestlers can wrestle forever because it's
Yeah.
professional wrestling. But like a pro athlete, like, and I think the next guy to do is going to be LeBron James.
Yeah.
I think he's going to stretch it beyond belief.
I think he was just quoted again the other day saying, I would leave a team to play with my sons. And It's like, well, how old is his oldest son? He's pretty close to the league.
He's got to be. I think it's another year, maybe.
Yeah. So like that's understandable a year, but he said my sons. It's like,
so there's two of them. Yeah.
like how old's the
like
little
2
one?
years apart.
Yeah. So.
But he's not winning anymore. Like the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs. I don't believe.
Yeah.
Like Brady is still winning.
Yeah. I think Brady still has the. I don't know. It's tough to say because LeBron is still explosive, still one of the probably the greatest athletes we got to grow up seeing, and maybe ever will. I don't know. All the athletes, younger athletes now, are just seemingly coming in, just hopefully learning from the athletes that came before them. But I don't know, man. He's still so athletic. He clearly can still hang at the.
I'm surprised he stayed with the Lakers. It didn't seem like, because again, they didn't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. They won in 2020 in the bubble.
The bubble, yep.
2021, obviously, no. I don't even think they weren't even in the finals.
Yeah.
So I'm like surprised that he hasn't jumped ship, because that's kind of what LeBron does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's done it a couple times there.
He must just like LA. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But before we get in blank versus blank, I want to get in two more of these. We'll go through it a little quickly. Top 5 favorite movies.
All right. So I'm gonna take a little different approach. I'll give you top 5 favorite movies from like when we were kids, like
Okay,
90s.
I like that.
All right. So I'm gonna go first with The Little Giants.
I love that.
I love that. I love that movie. I'll also say, like, if these movies are still on, or if I find them, I will watch them.
If I find that DVD, I'll buy you a copy.
Yeah, please do. Please do. So Little Giants, Major Payne.
Yes.
Was it Damon Wayans, I think?
Bam Bam Bigelow's on the table.
Yeah. I'm gonna take my left foot.
I
right cheek.
I bought that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I just want some movies to watch or whatever. And then I'm like, Bam Bam Bigelow was in this movie. Yeah.
So awesome movie. Heavyweights. So Ben Stiller, and then like all of the kids that played in all the sports movies.
Can I say that, like, Ben Stiller recreated the same character he did for Dodgeball?
He did.
It was like literally the same character.
Yeah, it's almost like just the adult version of.
You're gonna, like.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, that's funny. I don't remember his name in Heavyweights, but
No.
I gotta look that up now.
But literally, I'm like, you just took the character from Heavyweights and you put it in an adult movie.
And he just made double the money off of
Yeah.
it. Dang, smart man. And then the last two are tied, so you can put them 1 and 2 or 1 and 2. The Sandlot and The Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
I just love them.
Love The Sandlot. Did not see Mighty Ducks till I was 35 years old. Believe it or not. Never sat down and watched it.
All right.
I always was more of a Charlie Sheen fan than Amelia.
All right, that's fair.
Can I say Major League?
You had a little tiger blood in you. All right.
Top 5 musicians or bands.
All right. So I took this a little different too. I'm a broad fan of multiple genres of music. I will say most regularly I listen to probably a combination of rap and hip hop and country. So kind of a weird combo.
No, I don't like that.
So I'll give you 5 of each that I really like. I don't know that they're my top, so to speak, just because I like so many of them. But Tupac and Biggie, I just love them. Classic. I remember rocking them on my way to school as a kid on my little CD player. So Tupac and Biggie. Love Method Man.
Yes.
Wu-Tang, but Method Man, specifically Redman 2, would be in this conversation.
Blackout. Amazing album.
Oh, just so good. And I just love their flow, their voice, everything about it. And then Lil Wayne, especially like early 2000s Lil Wayne was just awesome, and I think he freestyled a lot of his stuff, and I can appreciate that. I like to. I'm not a rapper. I can't write raps, but I like to write. So knowing that somebody can do that kind of flowy like that off the top of their head. And then Eminem, just classic. He's just so good. And
Everybody loves
Yeah.
him, and this whole thing with the game is so stupid.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
what year is it?
Yeah, I know. I think game's trying to stay relevant, but and then country will say big fan of Tim McGraw, always have been. Morgan Wallen, it's awesome. I think he just has so many good songs. Aaron Lewis, so he was the lead singer of Staind, I think.
Yeah, he's doing country now?
Yeah, he does. Well, he does like a lot of covers and stuff, and his voice is just so
He's
cool
got a
for
great
it.
voice.
Yeah. Old Dominion, I like them. I think
They're just around.
Yeah, their songs are catchy. I didn't see them. And then I would say I think overall my favorite country singer is probably Luke Combs.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I like Luke
big time
Combs.
storyteller. I like that in a musician. So
I got more into country as I got older. As a kid, I
That's
never
fair.
would listen to it.
yeah, my mom always had it on, and we hated it. And then kind of that high school, college, I started realizing like, oh, that's all I want to listen to when I'm like not working out or not
Yep.
doing something athletic.
I want to drive down the road with the windows down.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I want to get into this blank versus blank. Got to pick. You got. I'm going to give you two things. You got to pick one. Tell me why.
All right.
First one: Robert De Niro or Al Pacino?
Oh God. As actors, God, we'll say Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough though because they're both so good.
Yeah, I mean they both have like iconic roles. in
Yeah,
so many
yeah, that's a
things.
really tough one, but I'll make the decision. I'll say De Niro.
Would you rather do the Tough Rock or a 5K?
Probably the Tough Rock. I think the 5K is way easier and whatnot, but I think the meaning behind the Tough Rock is just that much greater, and it feels so awesome to finish it.
Like to be honest, like I've done 5Ks, and there's been times I've tried. Like when I've tried, I'm like, man, that was tough.
Yeah.
But there's been times I've done 5Ks where it's like, I'm just doing this just to
Feel
be
pretty
here.
good.
I'm just to be here. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll donate to the cause.
Yeah.
But I was like, but with the Tough Rock, it's like I don't care about the time.
No,
I really,
no.
it's just more about finishing.
Yeah, being there,
You know.
finishing, carrying the ribbons is,
And just like all the people,
yeah.
you know, it's like,
Seeing so many people that are about that cause, oh, I love that.
and what I've learned over the years too is like, I've met people walking that randomly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, where are you from? Like, because, you know, everybody's going through it. Oh, my friends went ahead of me.
Yeah.
Or my friends are behind me. You know,
Cool,
it's
you
like,
got a new one now, buddy. Let's
all right,
go.
what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, exactly. Love it.
Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock?
Oh, this is tough because Stone Cold was my first favorite wrestler growing up. I've been a big fan of The Rock, though, for a long time. God. I'm going to go The Rock. But
Okay.
it's really tough, man. That's a tough one for me.
Are you going Rock because of post-wrestling?
Yeah. So yeah, let's put it that way. If we're talking wrestling,
Yeah.
I would go Stone Cold.
Okay.
I loved him as a kid. I thought he was super entertaining. Then as an adult, like him cracking beers, and that's funny too. I like The Rock as a wrestler too, but post wrestling Rock is I love that guy. I think he's awesome.
I think he's awesome too, but honestly, I don't watch his movies.
They're not great.
They're just, you know, I'm like, he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. I've never been interested to see, because for me, he was always just The Rock.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
an actor.
Typecast a lot.
Not, you know.
Yeah. I like Jumanji. I'll give him that one.
I heard a lot of people like Jumanji.
Yeah.
I've only seen the original.
Yeah, I mean the original was filmed in Keene.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
No
Pair of shoes. Last I knew, anyway, they was still painted on a wall out there.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
There you go.
All right, here's an interesting one. Two of my favorite R&B women singers, Janet Jackson or Mariah Carey.
Oh man. I don't know, man. Janet Jackson or Mariah Carey? I'm gonna go Janet Jackson.
That's a tough one for me. Like,
Yeah, that's hard.
it's Whitney, Mariah, and Janet are my my three there. So
They're all so good. Like
Yeah.
they're I don't know. There's not too many people like them that we'll ever see again. So
no, it's just not the same.
no.
And they were classy.
Yeah.
Not like this. Some of the stuff, you know, Nicki Minaj. You know, LeBron or Jordan.
I'm gonna go Jordan. Man, I say that so confidently, but basketball player, I'm gonna say Jordan. But I like a lot of what LeBron does. Opening his school. I just think he has a lot of things that he does. Some things that I don't always agree with or whatever. That's neither here nor there. But taking care of a bunch of kids and making sure that they're well educated and dressed, clothed, everything. I think that's awesome, and I think when you're somebody at his level to take some of your money and time and do that is pretty cool.
No, I think he cares about his community. I give him
Yeah.
that. I don't agree with him saying all of Boston's racist. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, LeBron, can you chill? Because I'm kind of a fan of yours, and now you're
Yeah.
you're putting me in with that.
Yeah.
And you also are a part owner of the Red Sox, like
yeah.
you know, like
I don't know.
I'm sure we know there's racists in Boston.
Oh, yeah,
but to
they're everywhere,
say
though,
everybody,
too.
like
Yeah.
they, like.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's a bold statement to say stuff like that. And that's where I say it. I don't always agree with everything he says, but I think he does a lot of good too.
I agree. Would you rather do cardio or lift?
Lift. Yeah, I'm not a big cardio guy. I know I probably need the cardio more, but I love lifting.
Yeah, no, when I was in my heyday, like it's more lifting, but I would do the cardio.
Yeah, you got to do it. Necessary evil,
Yeah.
but.
Just as someone who's into fitness and wellness, would you rather eat chicken or beef?
I'm gonna say beef. I eat more chicken, but
It's more healthy.
Yeah, I think I would prefer to be able to eat more beef. But, I definitely eat more chicken. Probably 5 to 6 days per week is chicken, and then we'll try to throw some sort of beef in there.
See, I just wish chicken could be as good.
I know.
It's just not.
It's tough. It's
A
tough.
cheeseburger's way better.
Yeah, it's so good. Nutrition.
All right. Toughest question, blank versus
God.
blank.
All right.
I've had both these guys on the show.
Oh, I knew this was coming. I already know what it is.
They're both Turkey Bowl champions.
I already know what this is.
I've had them both. I've had them on together.
Yeah.
When they were still doing their show, I was on their show. Nick Paquin or Ben Grant?
In what sense?
One goes away.
What? I'm gonna pull Ben Grant here and give you a PC question because I couldn't do without either.
We do allow that.
Yeah. I gotta go down the middle road. I wouldn't wanna do away with either, but just good guys. And I appreciated the shout out on that show too. I thought they answered very nicely. We've had a little more credit than I probably deserved.
I've chilled out on this question because it has caused controversy.
Really?
Mike was very upset when Soapy picked Bobby. So we were very careful on this. Yeah. But anyway, Sean, this has been a blast. I was so happy to have you on. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
But everybody out there, have a wonderful week. Keep your heads up. And until next time, let freedom ring.